All right, all right, all right, all right. I'll tell you what. I've seen them 3 times. Huey Lewis in the News. They don't tour anymore. His voice is fucked. But you know whose voice is not fucked? The Gods of War, who make this stream possible each and every fucking day. This is Duke, Hector Howell, Lutron Z, Zachy Procrastinates of the Connecticut Procrastinates. They are a fucked up family. Zach's the only good one of the bunch. I think there's a lot of inbreeding. And Big Bad Eddie Torres, biggest, baddest collector in video games. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you guys for being here, watching live, watching after the fact. I am your host, Jeff Keeley. It is good to see you. My dog's sitting over there on the couch. I'm sitting here in front of the computer. And this is officially, what is this fucking show called? Hang on. The fuck is this? The fuck is this show called? Fucking software. What's up? This is the Jaffe stream. This is the show where there really is no agenda other than my own. Don't you hate fake laughs? I'm not going to call them out. There's some real popular YouTubers that do fake laughs. And do you know when it's fake? Like, I wish YouTube would get those, like, you know, Twitch has a lot more interactivity. I wish YouTube could have like that, where you have the little buttons down there and you can go like, up, fake laugh, fake laugh, fake laugh. It would be something like this. It would be something like somebody is doing a react video and somebody goes, "Oh no, I hate the new Indiana Jones," and the person goes, and then the audience in the chat starts doing little laughing emoticons, and everybody just gets caught up in the moment until you realize, what are we laughing at? It's not funny at all. Welcome to the show. This afternoon, we'll, of course, be doing Gabbing Games. I'll spend more time talking about Indiana Jones there, but we can talk about whatever you guys want. Of course, I have topics. I have call-ins. If you need to know, right up there at the very top there, pinned to the YouTube, and if you need it on you're on the Twitch or the Twitter, you can let me know, and I'll put it up again, is the stream's lagging. Fuck you, Addy Pie. Point being is that you can call in and I'll bring you on the show if you got something interesting to say. But this is the which the Ghostbusters. Matthew wants to know which song was ripped off. Well, I think it was "I Want a New Drug" was ripped off. I mean, yeah, Ray Parker Jr. apparently ripped off the bass line of Huey Lewis in the News's "I Want a New Drug." So I saw a thumbnail that basically said Indiana Jones woke, says Courtney, and I wanted to hurt myself. Yeah, I don't get it. I've been playing it. It's great. It's great. I mean, it's, you know, it may not be for you because it's very much a open world-ish, not open world, that's wrong, but it's kind of like I think it was Mr. Matty Plays said it was like Dishonored meets Indiana Jones, and that seems about right. If you love indie, it's just a fucking delight, love letter to the franchise, and it's really fun. I've been playing it this morning. GTA is woke, Jaffe, says somebody. Nobody knows about GTA yet, but Addy Pie says it's woke. It has black people in it. Oh my God. Oh my stars and garters. But yeah, I mean, you know, people are saying that, but I will tell you that it is really fun so far. I'm digging it quite a bit. When does it release for commoners, says Jay Styles? It comes out, if you're not going to buy it, for early access, which is if you already have Game Pass, is like $34 is what I paid. It comes out for Game Pass on Monday, so keep an eye out. It's really good. By the way, that was Huey Lewis in the News. A couple days off, which obviously I'll pull out of the stream so I don't get a copyright strike later. But what is that like to be a band? Those guys were one of the biggest rock and roll bands of the 80s, and then they kind of hit the 90s and nobody's buying their shit anymore. I mean, do you just go, I didn't call out, oh no, it's Alex, that's not who I'm talking about, Desert Cruiser. But what is it like to be a huge fucking band like that? Like I said, I've seen them 3 times, and the first time I saw them, they were in their prime and they filled the whole Coliseum. And then the second time I saw him at the Universal Amphitheater. And it was like, if you've been to that arena, it's a decent size, but it's not like 50,000, 80,000 people, And yeah, they put out Hard at Play and they put out a couple other things and they just couldn't connect anymore. But them and Hall & Oates, and back when I was a kid, I don't know who it is today, maybe Kendrick Lamar, like there'll come a time, or Taylor Swift, you'll look at them and you'll say, there was a time that these guys could not fucking miss, and they haven't really changed. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe a lot of it has to do with just the culture changes around them, or they're too old. I don't fucking know, but it's something. Okay. I only know them being referenced in movies. Huey Lewis and the News. Yeah. I mean, they're old. They're, it's my teenage years, like Nickelback, says Mutant Mo. I like Nickelback. Well, I only like a couple of Nickelback songs. K-Nub says probably similar to being a game director responsible for two great franchises, then fizzles out. I think that's true. I mean, I know, I assume you're making a bit of a joke, but I don't think, I don't think you can almost do anything else. I think you are a person of your time and you are sort of plugged in to the zeitgeist, and it doesn't mean you don't have anything to offer. I certainly don't think the games I made after those big hits were not good games, but there is a sense of being connected to the culture at large. And I don't think you can fake that. I don't think you can chase that. I think you just have to be gracious when you have it, and you have to be okay watching it go to someone else. Like, I mean, I took the kids, the ex took the kids to see Katy Perry back when she was ruling the roost. The California Girls, is that what it was? The tour. And it was awesome. And now she can barely get arrested. Her last album came out and did like 100,000 units, including streaming. So it wasn't just sales, right? But it's got some good songs on it, but she's just kind of faded out of that level of import to the audience that really is super into pop music. So Mr. Tortoise says, Jaffe, that's not fizzling, that's freaking making two great franchises. Jaffe's the GOAT. Y'all can sleep the rest of the time and still haven't created multiple big things. Yeah, I mean, I don't take it as an insult. I really don't. I when I was in college, to me, I used to think that way, because I didn't know any better and I hadn't had any success. So I remember driving down Westwood Boulevard and there was a big billboard for is it Lithgow? Jonathan Lithgow? Is it Jonathan? Man, I'll tell you, as I'm getting older, names are going first. I know it's Lithgow. I know Brian De Palma directed it. I know it's called Raising Cain. But what's the guy's first name? Lithgow. John Lithgow? It's John Lithgow. Yeah, John Lithgow, not Jonathan. Anyway, point is, and it's called Raising Cain, and it's like for the new Brian De Palma movie, And by that point, Brian De Palma had his big heyday in the 70s, and he was kind of whatever. And we were a bunch of film-obsessed kids, so we knew who he was. And it came and it went. And I remember going, oh, that must be so horrible, because he used to run with Lucas and Spielberg, and he used to run with Coppola, and now he's like all washed up and stuff. And it's not until you kind of get some of that you realize it's like you're just working and making shit that you really dig, and you can't really control it. I saw a documentary with Jay-Z once where he said, the worst thing is, he's being a little dramatic because I'm sure there are worse things, but he said, the worst thing I can imagine is to, before you go to bed at night, look in the mirror as you're getting ready for bed and realize that when you wake up, you have to go out to do your job and pretend that you like things that you don't like and pretend that you're someone that you're not. And that would be, maybe there's success in chasing trends. Maybe you can be rich and famous and successful if you do that, but it seems miserable to me. Captain Loudpack says, Jaffe, the legendary crybaby of Santa Monica Studios. I don't even know what that means. I don't have a penchant for crying. I will cry during commercials though. Jaffe, how would you feel if you said you never made a damn thing and never will make a damn thing in your useless life? I wouldn't, and they hurt themselves later. I mean, look, here's what I'll tell you about that. It's an interesting question, Morgan. You're basically saying if I made somebody feel really bad and they harm themselves, I would not. Ultimately, he's confused. The guy who called me a crybaby is confusing me with Corey. That's right. Well, I mean, because Corey cried like a little fucking girl. He got his good reviews, and he's like, I'm not worthless. No, that was a great video. But no, I mean, look, here's what I'll tell you about that. The people who are going to do really interesting things with their lives, at least the ones who are going to will those interesting things into existence, sometimes interesting things fall into your lap, and that's wonderful. But if you demand an interesting life, somebody might say something that hurts your feelings and kind of knocks you for a loop. And kind of takes you off your game for a couple of days. But, if you want to get in, you get in. If you want to do it, you do it. That's the real secret to everything, I have found anyway. I really do feel, and I don't think it's magical. I think it's psychological, but it could be, I don't know what it is, spiritual, psychological, magical, whatever. But life seems to write itself around your greatest desires. So if you want something, you can go get it. You can force life to adapt to what you are looking for. Anyway, okay. Yeah, Corey's great, Captain Loudpack. I mean, I think Corey, and I don't know if Corey feels the kind of pressure like I would have felt. I don't know if I felt pressure. I don't know. But certainly this new game he's doing, which I don't have any of the skinny on, is a new IP, right? And so I imagine that this is going to be the moment where the rubber meets the road with him, in the sense of, can he take his own idea? And I bet the answer is yes. I'm not doubting it, but I think that's a real hard thing to elevate on other IP. And don't get me wrong, Corey is a key contributor and reason God of War, all the God of Wars are amazing. But I'm saying this is now from his just birthed from whatever that he was inspired by. And I'm real curious to see what he brings to the table when it starts directly from his brain. Lutron says, did you see Alana Pierce saying goodbye to Santa Monica? I did. I guess, she wants to go and be with her family, which makes sense. Captain Lupac says, can I ask you a serious question about another game studio? Sure. I mean, I don't know if I'll answer it. You can ask it. Is Corey's new game supposed to be sci-fi? I don't know. I heard that, but Jay Styles says, Jaffe, after playing the new Indiana Jones game a little, how do you think Troy Baker does as Indy? I think he does fucking great, man. I think he's awesome in it. And here, what really is interesting to me about that game is, I've never, as a huge Indiana Jones fan, I have never been one of these guys that's like, only Harrison Ford can play Indiana Jones. Maybe because I grew up with, the transition of James Bond from Roger Moore to Timothy Dalton to Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. It's just kind of like, that's how it works, right? The character transcends and survives the individual performers. So for me, getting an indie story where Indy's in his prime, it takes place right after Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he does look like Harrison Ford. I guess they have the image rights, and he sounds like Harrison Ford, but obviously Harrison Ford didn't do the voice. But it's like, this is, again, I'm not saying it like I know better than anyone else, but that, for me personally, that's all I've ever wanted. I just want more Indiana Jones stories, told on a big scale with a big budget. And so I think Troy Baker does a great job of the voice of Indy, and I hope it's not the first time and the only time he does it, because the reviews are great. We'll see what the sales are. The game is not the kind of blockbuster game like an Uncharted. It's not Xbox's Uncharted, because it is a smarter kind of game. It asks you to solve puzzles. It asks you to be patient. It asks you to stealth. It's a slower paced game than like an Uncharted that just grabs you by the hand and says, let me show you this amazing time. So I don't know if it's going to end up being this big hit or not, but it certainly is a critical hit. And to me, I would love to this not only to be the beginning of a bunch of Indiana Jones games from Bethesda and Machine Games, but I'd like maybe Lucas and Disney to go, you know what? Not Lucasfilm, not George Lucas, to go, you know what? This character still could resonate for people. It's ridiculous that we're telling the story of Indiana Jones when he's 80. Nobody wants to see that any more than anybody wanted to watch Star Wars about the Trade Federation having, trade route disputes with the Senate. And Lucas would be like, back in the day, he would say, but that's the story. And it's like, I don't care. Right. So, but that's the story of Indiana Jones as he gets old. I don't care. He's not real. It's a movie. Entertain me, bitch. And so I'm absolutely hoping that the people at Lucasfilm and Disney wake up and go, oh, people, Matt, there are going to be new people now because the game is good enough. I was worried it was going to be like only for boomers like me, but now you're talking, new people are going to discover or understand why indie's cool, and maybe enough of them will that they'll start to go, okay, maybe there is something here that we can do something with if we kind of step away from the Harrison Ford era. Yeah, I am Bukaki. I am very much digging it. I played it a bunch this morning. I was up till 3 a.m. Last night. It was great. It was great. Yeah, I didn't know it was Troy. I would think they actually got Harrison Ford to do it. If you didn't know, says Matthew. Yeah, it's really, really good. Really, really good. But I'm digging it. You know what's funny? Let me show you this that was right at the top of the stream. So, I'm not a fan of Grums. Fuck it. I'm not a fan. I don't like the guy. He's a person. He's trying to get through his life. He's trying to have a good time. I don't hate the guy or anything, but I find him worrisome. Let's just say that. Can I say that, fellas? And so somebody tweeted this. This is a tweet from Washer Crack, who I follow, a gamer saga in 4 images. So somebody named Yellow Flash Guy, who I think is one of the woke, anti-woke people, whatever, says, and my hope for a new indie game is gone. Because this designer, I guess they're the senior narrative designer, says we have the opportunity to tell Indiana Jones to modern audiences. Now, what I took that as to mean was, the last big Indiana Jones movie was 1989. So when they say modern audiences, I know a lot of you guys think that's code for something. And the fact that they're wearing a LGBT shirt and they look like a soy boy to you must mean something other. I just took it as, oh yeah, there's a lot of multiple younger generations that don't really understand indie, know indie, care about indie. And they have a chance to bring it to new people. But obviously the anti-woke folks were like, oh, modern audiences, see, he's dog whistling, he's speaking in code. It's like, bitch, he's working on a $200-300 million video. Nobody's got time for that shit. That's your little fantasy world where that happens. Nobody does that. Okay, just shut up. But regardless, though, this was the narrative. And then Grums of the idiotic Grums family says, it doesn't matter if a game or a remake is good. It's about not buying games from companies that hate you. Shut up, you fucking moron. Companies aren't thinking about you. They love your money, and that's all they think about you. They don't hate you, you idiot. Silent Hill 2 remake employs DEI consultants that hate gamers, wants to piss them off, and wishes you were gone. Buddy, when I worked in video games, and there were a lot of gamers I hated. I didn't hate most of them. But yeah, were there some that made me nauseous? There were. Guess what? You probably felt the same way. Shut up. Get off your high horse. He says you have to send a message that this isn't acceptable. In the case of Silent Hill 2, the sales are made and the deal is done. But in the future, any game with hit detection, their consultancy firm behind it should be subject to the 2-year rule. Shut up, Grums. Go to work. God damn, man. Do you do anything? I connect with people. What do you do, Jaffe? Well, I do streams. I do videos. I try to make people happy. I try to make people think. I try to engage with them. You just sit there every fucking day and all you do is find shit to complain about. What is the matter with you? But you know what? You're probably going through a lot of shit. I feel for you, buddy. He says, I forgot this game was even coming out. AAA has had a disaster of a year and it's really all their fault. Oh my God. Gamers are done with crap. Shut up, you moron. And then he says this when the reviews drop. I've decided Indiana Jones looks promising and woke reporters like Ash Parrish hate it. I'm renewing Game Pass. Hold the line, folks. I'll be right back. Mother's calling, and then I'm going to go renew Game Pass. I won't have access for a day or two. I'm not buying premium early access, so I can see if there are any red flags between now and then. I wouldn't want to get any of the woke on me, What an idiot. Shut up, you fucking idiot. I don't mean to be a dick. Yeah, I do. I don't mean to be a dick to the human. Underneath the character of Grums, he's probably just a guy. He's got kids. He's trying to make it through. I get it. But fuck you, Grums. Fuck you, Grums. Go play Indiana Jones. Discover the kid inside you again. The inner kid. It's a joyous game. It's delight, you fucking moron. Let me go to the chat real quick. Again, if you want to call in, the links at the top of the YouTube, and then Indiana Jones is boring, says Uncensored Maverick. To you, don't play it then. Stop being so offended, Jaffe. I'm not offended. Okay. Scare white folks a little and they'll pay any amount to feel safe, says Aaron. That's true. That's true. I think that's anybody, but Trip says AAA has been a disaster of a year. Tens of thousands of jobs lost. Yeah, but you're talking about the business. I'm talking about the products. The average consumer doesn't think about that, doesn't care about that, doesn't know about that. I mean, they care in the way that you care if you hear a factory in some town is shutting down that used to employ a bunch of people. Of course you care, but it's not on your radar as, as it relates to this in terms of, oh, AAA had a bad year. Okay. RP says we need someone like Grums to push back against the wokeness. Shut up. So stupid. You guys have this little fantasy in your heads, like it's this little war going on. It's delightfully charming and cute if it wasn't so stupid. Are you going to set up a Marvel Rivals stream? Yeah, I'll be playing that. That thing had like 50,000 yesterday concurrent on Steam alone. That's so far it's off to the races. Really, really big. Okay, let's move forward though. I do have things to talk about. Well, first I want to show you something real quick. Tell me if you know what this is. I'll tell you later if you don't know, but there you go. Look at your goddamn television screen, your phone, your computer monitor. What do you think? What do you think you're looking at there? I'll tell you later if you don't know. I'll save it. It's called a tease, boys. I'll save it. How can you become smarter at my level? Read. Frankly, what's the last book you read? Seriously, what's the last book? The first 5 people in the chat that tell me the last book they read that's a real fucking book, I'll shout it out. Not that you need my shout out, but I'm curious. Yep, Movie Maniac got it. It's a biblically accurate angel. So somebody put an angel topper on their tree, but it was an actual biblically accurate one. Mistborn, Jay read. Okay, I've never heard of it, but okay. The God Delusion, that's a good book. The Book of 3, Bledek says, never heard of it. Uncensored says, I read Berserk. That's graphic novel, right? Wild Cards, Dune. Dune's a great book. Jim Ryan says, Captain Underpants. The second Dune is my favorite. That's the one that's just, it really gets esoteric and deep in a lot of ways philosophically, but I fucking love it. I love it. I love the whole series. Blood Meridian. Okay, so some of you guys are reading, so there you go, Alex. That's how you get smart. Read, man. Corporate Game is reading One Up by Juiced. Is a business book about video games. Who's reading the Satanic Verses? That gets Solomon Rushdie almost killed. Mutant Mo's reading that. All right. So that's my answer. Go read some shit, baby. That's how it works. You know what this is? I'll give you one more. Do you know what this is? And we'll get to the news. Do I believe angels look like that? I don't really believe in angels, Alex. You know what this is? I'll tell you later if you don't know. But take a good, hard, juicy look at this, and it reveals something disturbing about humanity. If you look at this, it's disturbing. The new channel mascot. Yeah. Do you ever have I ever held conservative values or ideals? You'd have to list some. I don't know. It's not star clusters. No, it's very disturbing. Captain Loudpack wants to know, am I ready for your question? Yeah, go ahead, ask. Lord Garth was saying he was reading that this biblically accurate angel kind of meme thing is not actually accurate from the Bible. I haven't read it, but yeah, I don't have any data on it, but it's interesting for sure. Okay. Well, it is a fossil. It is a bone. It's a fossil of a bone, but that's not, maybe a better question would be, do you understand what you're looking at here? Scientists have looked at this and they have said, oh, let's rethink something about humanity. And it's kind of gross. So there you go. I'm waiting for this before I get to the next topic. I want to see if Captain Loudpack, what's your I don't want to be unwoke RP spaces. I mean, I will be if you can give me some data. What do you think of Naughty Dog shelving Factions 2 because of Bungie Studio? I mean, thank you, Hattie Pie. None of us have the data really of what went down. All we really know is sort of third, second, fourth hand stuff. So, if you don't know what he's talking about, which you probably do, but basically Naughty Dog's working on The Last of Us multiplayer called Factions, and it was canceled. And the word on the street was that Bungie came in, and Bungie obviously was purchased in order to help all the Sony studios kind of marble out their DNA of understanding service-based games. And they were like, this isn't going to work. Okay. And so for whatever reason, and then there was the rumor that Naughty Dog had made this game for 2.5 years and hadn't thought about, we have to worry about a live service component, and we're going to have to be making this game for 10 years if it's a hit. And it's like, I'm pretty sure Naughty Dog thought about that. But my take is that it probably would have been a really good game. They probably would have had to sort of, if it would have worked, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know what Naughty Dog's complaint or Bungie's complaint was. If their complaint was, this is a really great game, which it probably was. They've made some good multiplayer games in the past in terms of Naughty Dog with like Last of Us Online or multiplayer and Uncharted multiplayer. But we just don't see the monetization scheme. And when they were able to walk the team through it, they were like, yeah, we missed that. That was a blind spot for us. And to correct that is going to cost so much fucking money. Maybe they looked at it and said, yeah, it's going to come at the expense of a bunch of other things. And maybe they thought Concord was going to be, think about that. If they thought Concord was going to be the game that Jim Ryan's looking at it and going, I know you guys could fix it. It'll cost us another $60 million to sort of put these things in and extend the game because it's going to take that much time to put these things into Factions. But Concord's got us, and Jade's game is going to be playing, cleanup. And so you guys, we don't want to run the risk of delaying a new IP from Naughty Dog because that's money in the bank. And so I could see that thing. So there's just a lot of scenarios that I just don't have the data of how they played out. Why did they get Bungie involved? That was a bad idea, bro, says Captain Loudpack. Well, it wasn't a bad idea. You're basically, let me ask you this. If you went out and you got the guys who made Hearthstone, right, which is totally different kind of game, but big hit for Blizzard, and they said, we want to make a single player action adventure cinematic game. We don't want to spend the crazy money because we haven't proven ourselves, but we have this great idea. And if you give us $70 million, Sony, we want to do that for you. And Sony says, yes, but I want you to sit with Neil and Naughty Dog and maybe Sony Santa Monica and Corey and Eric and all these guys who have walked the path and take their information. You wouldn't say that's stupid. You'd say, oh yeah, and then you really get into the details that we don't have. We don't know what the problem was in Bungie's eyes. We don't know what Jim Ryan heard that made him say, this is no longer viable where I thought it was now that I have this new data. So I'll tell you what, though. Captain says, I love Santa Monica and Naughty Dog, my favorite studios. Naughty Dog's letting the Factions community down. There is no Factions community. You're not ever going to please everybody. And the more stuff you do that is different, like in terms of different franchises and different types of games, the more people that are going to feel let down. But I mean, you got to make choices. You got to make something. But what I will tell you, though, what I think is really interesting about Indiana Jones, though, and Stalker and pretty much all of the Xbox content, is you can see the PC DNA in the Xbox first party choices. I know Stalker's not Xbox first party, but for all intents and purposes, as it relates, it's basically second party, at least for the moment. But coming from PC, you really see that in their games. Their games are a lot more simulation based. They're a lot more systems based. They're more games, I have nothing against cinematic action adventure games. I think Sony makes more of them than I wish they would. And it sounds like the new Naughty Dog game is actually going to be a game that's more about choice. And if they end up buying the company that owns From Software, they're going to be able to start closing that gap. But right now, if you look at Indiana Jones, if you look at Stalker, if you look at even like Wasteland 3 and the new game coming from In Exile, if you look at what Avowed looks like it's going to be, those games are games. You know, they are fucking games. And I got to say, I appreciate that. I applaud that. And I'm grateful for that because, you know, as much as I appreciate and applaud the production value of Sony cinematic games, you just don't know until you've had the comparison. But like last night I solved this puzzle in Indie, and I will not spoil it. I have no interest in doing that, but it was a genuine, fucking puzzle. It was like, you know, it wasn't like you go into a room in Uncharted and it pretty much solves it for you, or in God of War and it pretty much solves it, or Atreus solves it for you. You're like, it feels like an old LucasArts game where you're like, okay, wait a minute. I have this image in front of me and I have to do something to it, but I have to go explore and find things and understand things. I'm not saying it's like Jonathan Blow's The Witness, but there is a sense of, there's more of a sense of like, hey, be immersed in the interactivity. And I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Really, really good. Shut up, Aaron. Uncharted has good puzzles, bro. Relax. First off, I'm not your bro. And I know you're doing that because it's supposed to troll me, but it's just so fucking annoying. But anyway, Uncharted, not really. I like Uncharted. Don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on it, but it doesn't have good puzzles. It basically, you go into a room and you've got to like turn a column to line up with something. And if you wait more than 2 minutes, the camera takes control and shows you something in the wall that's like what you basically need to do. And then if you don't get it, then Nathan Drake triggers a voice. I mean, come on. It's compared to the stuff that you'll see in Indie. No, it does not have good puzzles. It's not, you know, Uncharted looks a hell of a lot better than Indie. Uncharted is more of a beautiful cinematic action adventure, but no, you're not going to convince me that it's an equal systems game, because it's not, because it's simply not. Okay. Uncharted has subpar game design, says Morgan. It's just set pieces, acting, and storytelling. I would agree with that. I don't think, I think it doesn't have subpar game execution. But I do think the moment to moment game design in Uncharted, whether you're talking puzzles or shooting, is pretty bare bones. Daniel Crawford, my nephew down from the Bama, says, if it is cave art carvings, I'll go check the 19th unmanned cave, which is located in Alabama. You're working with the owners. Are you talking about the image on screen? No. Would you like me to just tell you what this fucking image is on the screen? I'll just tell you, Daniel. This is a bone fossil. And what scientists are discovering is that there was a lot more cannibalism all across the world in early man, because these gashes that people used to just think were like an animal attacked this person are from human-made tools, and it's from human-made butcher tools. And it shows that man back in the day would kill each other, and they would basically carve up the bodies in order to make them food. And I also didn't recognize, because it said, you know, sometimes it's for nutrition reasons, sometimes it's for, you know, to scare the enemy, sometimes it's for affection. And I looked this up and I go, what do you mean affection cannibal? Apparently there are some ancient tribes that will eat the body as a sign of respect to a dead elder, or to help the body pass on to the next life, and things like that. So we used to eat each other more than we did. Aaron says, I could have told you this. Well, you didn't, did you, bitch? Because I asked and you didn't say shit. Yeah, I got him, boys. I got him. But that's what that is. That's what it is. If you were curious, look at this, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're going to get into some drone shit. We'll get into all the video game stuff, though. We'll go hardcore into discussions of games and the Gabbing of Games later this afternoon. That's what that show is. But this is all over the place. Have you seen this? Trust me, I'm going to show you a video, but we're going to get into the drone conversation, the UAP conversation. But this is fascinating to me, because what this is, and this technology is not new, but it's getting better. So basically, scientists have attached a little microchip and series of circuits to a certain species of cockroach. And using an app, they are able to control or send signals to the cockroach to force it to move left, right, up, down, to actually have control. And they're going to be putting cameras on it. And what they're saying is, for things like search and rescue, this is going to be a real big deal. They're starting companies that do this for search and rescue, because they're like, look, here's the inventor of it at the company. He says, we see a future where, after an urban disaster like an earthquake or a bombing, where humans cannot safely access the disaster site, being able to send in a bunch of cyborg beetles to navigate the zone quickly and efficiently. This is coming from the Sun. Insects are so adaptable compared to artificial robot systems, which has to perform so many computations to be able to deal with all these different scenarios. Only when it leaves the desired path, that's when we basically kind of give it a little ping to make it move where we want it to move, they say. And listen to this. It says they have normal life experiences, even though they have the backpacks attached to them. The science is out on whether they're actually conscious. I think the potential for this tech to save lives in urban disasters outweighs any kind of hesitancy you might have towards the field. Burrowing cockroaches are a species native to Australia. I'm going to show you a video from a few years back. But yeah, they and it makes me just wonder. I mean, we're probably, people could look at us this way. People could look at us this way, and they could just be, or aliens could look at us this way, and they could just be like, they're just people. Just fucking manipulate them, control them, get them to do the shit we need them to do. Why would they not treat us that way if we're treating a much lower species this way, right? But let me show you what it looks like. This is from a handful of years back, but it's gotten a lot more advanced. This is, I'll just show you a couple. It's only 30 seconds. Here you go. So as you can see, I mean, it goes where it wants to go. But when it's going off the path, the controller, so he's starting to go straight, and the controller's like, no, I want you to go over there. He flips it, and he no, I want to go over here. Nope, you're going to go over there. Isn't that something? Isn't that an old ass iPhone to control a roach? I mean, I'm just telling you, none of us are safe. Does it have a self-destruct if it gets caught spying? No, you just step on it, I assume. But there's companies now that are raising tons of VC money going, this is our business model. We're going to raise these bugs, put these little fucking backpacks on them, and we're going to make them go where we want them to go. It's like an electric shock collar, says Trip. I don't think they describe it that way, but it might be. Here's how it works. It says they send electrical pulses to the antenna, allowing them to control their movement. So it shocks them, or it sends a pulse, but it's a pulse that somehow is able to determine, I want you to go left, right, forward, back. And I would imagine in time it's going to be more than that. And honestly, think about this. There was that movie, I never saw it, called Gamer, with what's his face, Gerard Way, that guy in 300. And it would be like that. It's like, okay, who's really good at fucking playing war games? Is Spazbo. Spazbo's kind of a chunky dude. He's kind of a chubby guy. Maybe he's not going to work out and be a great soldier, but boy, his brain is, I'm not saying I don't know him in real life. I'm saying, let's say he's like that. Gerard Butler. But you know what he's great at? His mind is brilliant for fighting. Let's get like a big bad buff dude, and let's let Spazbo control the big bad buff dude. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're getting there. It's insane to me, man. But maybe we're being controlled the same way. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk a little bit about this CEO guy, because I got a bunch of pushback on my stream yesterday when I was talking about, I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anyone to be assassinated. I don't think it's a good idea when people take the law into their own hands, and certainly not the role of the jury into their own hands, like this guy in New York who shot and killed this CEO. from United Health, but a lot of people were pushing back and saying it's just like a fucking liberal. It's just like a fucking liberal. You guys just want to fucking, like suddenly this is okay. And I'm like, look, here's what I'll tell you, because there's a lot of stories now about, people are, here's one: thoughts and deductibles to the family. Unfortunately, my condolences are out of network. Somebody posted. Someone else wrote, I'm an ER nurse and I've seen things, and the things I've seen dying patients get denied for by insurance makes me physically sick. I just can't feel sympathy for him because of all the patients and their families. Right. I think as much as this in some ways is obviously terrible, I think it's also been like a wake up call for a lot of people going, fuck him. Absolutely fuck him. I don't know who this guy is that shot him. Clearly the cops don't know either. And I'm not saying he's a fucking hero, but somebody last night on the chat was like, well, Jaffe, there's ways to handle it. You go through the courts and you go through your congressman. And it's like, end of the day, that shit's not working. It doesn't work anymore. Right. It's a smoke screen to make us feel we have some kind of control. And these people, these executives, simply write the laws. They get loopholes to get out of fucking us. But God forbid you would finally stand up for yourself in the only way you can. Because I'm sure you guys saw, right, where the guy actually left like the words deny, defend, delay written on the actual bullet casings of this guy. I mean, he was clearly sending a message going, his son may have been killed. His son may not have been killed, but his son may have been denied coverage or delayed coverage that caused his son to die. The number of people who have died under just one of these guys' decisions that are greedy as fuck. I don't feel bad for the guy. It's like, fuck you. You know how many people your desire to feed your own fucking, guy made $10 million last year. I guarantee you if he gets a big bad cancer or he gets a cold, he's not having to think about it. But a lot of people are. And I don't have a problem with it. I really don't have a problem with it. Right. Turtle says the ends justify the means unless it's the other side. But I want to show you something though. So this was interesting and I don't know if I believe this. Let me stick with this aspect of the topic first. BledX says, in fact, insurance companies literally have a fund just for court costs. I mean, I think most companies do, but K-Nub says, if the argument that a healthcare company has resulted in deaths due to corporate corruption or negligence, it's a slippery slope to praise them getting shot. Soon people will target the government. Yeah, I know. But fundamentally here, the fact of the matter is, whatever side of the aisle you're on as a citizen, not as a governor, whatever, somebody, legislator, God damn it, Jaffe, an elected official, fuck you. There was an agreement that we all entered into with these people and with the Constitution and with us being Americans, if you are American, which is we elect you, you represent us. And the people that got elected and the people that got put into positions of power, it seems like a whole heap and hell, a lot of them have been able to easily be corrupted, and maybe nobody is immune from it. And so maybe it's about the system being a problem. I don't know. But end of the day, you can only push people so far. No matter, look, I don't break the law. I believe in the rule of law, all of that. But if there comes a point where the route that has been set up for us is not functioning, and it's not functioning because in a lot of ways it's designed not to function, because these people want to protect themselves, but they want to fuck us over in order to make more money. I don't have sympathy for this guy, or he's dead. So, or his family, or, sorry, I don't. I'm glad he's dead, truth be told. And that's terrible, but I'm glad he's dead, said the Joker in Batman 1989. I'm glad he's fucking dead, because maybe it'll make a lot of these people wake up and go, maybe we've crossed the line at this point. John Q, Zan, exactly, with the goddamn Denzel Washington, where he breaks into the hospital and is like, look, my son I need help, and the medical company, I forget the specifics, but either they denied it or it was some paperwork error, just some bullshit. And he's like, takes a gun into the hospital and says, you will take care of my son. I would do the same fucking thing. And you would too. And you would too. You should. It's your family. It's your loved ones. And there is a point, where you have to just push back and say, and I hate that we have arrived at this point. And maybe this is not a tipping point, and it means we're going to start seeing this more and more and more. But hopefully it means that it's a canary in the coal mine, but we can save everybody else in the coal mine by having these people wake up and go, wait a minute, maybe we've pushed the society too far and it's not tenable. I don't know. The Blue Shield CEO changed their mind on charging more for anesthesia because the surgery took too long. Right. Because this guy got whacked. Right. So they were going to, think about that. If I remember correctly, one of the things that was going around was the story of, that United was going to start saying, we're only going to pay for this much anesthesia in an operation. If you need more, oh, well, too bad. And you can pay for it out of your own fucking pocket. It's like, really? It's not ridiculous. $6. $6 says acting like he's solely responsible. I didn't say he's solely responsible for people dying, so he should die. It's kind of ridiculous. No, I'm sorry. You're just wrong, $6. This guy's job is to trickle down policy to the company he runs in order to achieve X. X is defined by him and X is defined by the board. Okay. If he has consistently, chronically put the desire for profit above the desire to also do good or do good business for his customers. And in the case of, if you fail your customers, people die, then I'm sorry, but his job is directly responsible, because when you say he's a CEO, his job is to make the company money. Yes. And how do you think that company makes money? They take in your monthly and they take your premiums and they deny you at every turn so they don't have to pay it out. And the CEO is the guy that says, see this knob here that's going to make it harder and harder for people to actually get the coverage they're paying for? I want you to turn it up more. Turn it up more. Turn it up more. That's the guy who's controlling the train that fell asleep at the controls. I'm sorry, but he's responsible. He's responsible. Fuzzy says there is a line no one in civil society should cross. We're not in a civil society anymore. When you elect people and they work for the lobbyist and not for the people that elected them, when you have a Supreme Court that whatever side you vote on has literally said, we're not going to really allow ethics to control us. We're not going to sign something. We're not going to, we're not going to deal with that. And the Constitution can't solve it with impeachment because all the people who were elected, a lot of them are being, are slaves to the lobbyists. That's not a civil society. You're right. If it was civil, then you're 100% right. Just because you don't get your way, you don't get to pick up a gun and go shoot someone or beat someone up. I agree with you. But where do you arrive, or what does it take for you to arrive at a point where you recognize that the vast majority of us on this planet, or in this country at least, are being treated horribly, and we're getting nothing in return, and we're being told, oh, that's the process. Fuck you, that's not the process. Zeke says we are far from uncivilized. I didn't say we were uncivilized, but when you paint it as a civilized society, and the only people that are really pushing for that are the ones that are in power, that's a problem. That's not an excuse for murder. Yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is an excuse for murder. Yes, it is. Let me ask you this. Would you murder a soldier or a commander who came into your town and started killing children? Would you say, I'm going to kill that person? It's my duty as a parent, as a civil person, to end that person if that's the only way I can get him out of that chair. If you've tried everything else, if you've called your congressman, if you've tried to vote, if you've signed petitions, would you say, well, I went through the process, but the murderer is still murdering? Now, well, civilized society, get in line, kids, you're next. Come on. What are you talking about? I didn't say I don't have, okay, maybe I did say I have no, I have sympathy for his children and his wife. Yes, of course. But I don't have sympathy for the fact that he was a bad guy and he died. And and he was murdered. And as what's the guy's name? Samuel Jackson says in A Time to Kill, yeah, I killed him and I'd do it again. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? So this is only going to raise healthcare costs so they can hire full-time security. Well, again, then it'll just keep going, won't it? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know how you guys can defend this. The guy is a piece of shit. All of these companies are pieces of shit. Not because the individuals that work there are pieces of shit, all of them, but it's what a scam. Take your money every month, a bunch of it, and then take your fucking premiums, and then they'll deny you the coverage that you paid for. David, be reasonable, says Fuzzy. None of us have done any hard work to change things. You're not right. You're not right. You're simply wrong. You are, he says, we are bitching on the internet. 99% of us have no clue what it takes to run a healthcare business. I don't care what it takes to run a healthcare business. What the fuck do I care what it takes? You know what it takes to make a video game? You don't. I do. Guess what? I still don't care if people crunch, right? Because end of the day, I'm a customer. If you're charging me for your goods and these companies are charging me for their goods, if they want to say, we'll take your money, we'll make you pay a premium, and you have an 85% chance that you won't get a payout on these 20 types of claims, then I think that's fine. But that's not what they say, and that's not what they tell you. And I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for these people. I understand your point that, of course, you have, we don't want to live in a society where it's the Wild West. But the idea that we've done nothing, that's not true. We vote. We do call our Congress people. But that is like saying you're going to Darth Vader asking for charity. They don't care. It is a scam. Don't you realize this? It is show. They are in the pockets of big business and lobbyists and these insurance companies. So you can say we've done nothing. If we vote think about it. Here's what we've done. We watch the ads, which is terrible. We vote for this person who says they're going to take on the insurance companies. Okay, we're doing our job. As citizens, we're doing our job. And then we find out that the person that we voted for is also taking money from these lobbyists, or also is easily corruptible. And a year after they said that and they got in, they totally do something different. Now, if that happens once, twice, 50 times, 100 times, you go, hey, it's not a perfect system, but it's better than anything else. But this is chronic. This is how the system is designed. And at that point, Fuzzy, I'm not saying I like the current solution, but I'm not interested in a conversation unless you can offer up something more than, you don't know how hard it is to run an insurance company. I don't give a fuck. You don't know how hard it is to hold your child in your arms and go, this kid could probably live another 5 years, if not a full life, but these greedy fucks will not give them the operation. He says that doesn't absolve you of the social contract. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't go to jail that killed this guy. He should pay the price. He should absolutely pay the price. Absolutely. But I'm not saying that, this should be legalized, but I'm saying I don't have sympathy for the CEO. I applaud this guy's actions. I don't care if you say no one should celebrate murder. Let's say this. There's a CEO. Let me ask you this, Fuzzy, then we'll move on because I do want to show you something really cool. And I want to move off this topic unless somebody's got something new to add. But let me ask you this. Do you agree that a health insurance CEO, by deciding the level of payouts has been able to do great harm, if not total death, to a large number of people? Because if you agree to that, and I don't see how you couldn't agree that that's what happens, then what you're really saying is this one guy's life is more valuable than those 50 lives, 100 lives that he has taken. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I just don't. I won't murder someone if I get denied. If someone's choices to deny me are found to be based on nothing but greed because that person wants more money and his stockholders want to buy another yacht and they want to fucking go into outer space, and my kids are suffering or gone, or my other loved ones are suffering or gone because of it, I don't know what I would do. But if it turns out, especially that this guy lost someone because he was denied coverage for his family and he did this, and that coverage was above and beyond what somebody would expect. It's not like, oh, well, your loved one, every day he was eating Tide Pods and we told him 50 times to stop eating Tide Pods and he kept going to the ER. And finally we said, we can't keep covering this. Okay, Fuzzy, you're right. But let's assume it was a garden variety. Oh, my wife had cancer and we did everything right. We filled out all the forms and you guys on technicalities or greed denied her what she needed to be here. Go fuck yourself. You're dead. I wouldn't do it, but I might. Ravno says people die every day from dumb stuff. No clue why some evil CEO is someone we should mourn. I'm not mourning him. You're right. I didn't say that either, Eric. I see. This is why I have a real problem with this, with people on these kind of conversations. Eric says this is okay, but when people are fed up and go storm the Capitol, then that's wrong. No, it's not wrong if you manipulate people into believing a certain thing. Then even though I do not agree with their actions, if I thought the government was stealing my vote, I would be there at the Capitol as well. The problem is there's no evidence that the election was stolen. There's no real evidence. There's no evidence of any of that Trump was claiming. And I don't want to derail that. But my point is so as much as I don't like what happened, I understand that people who have been convinced that their vote was stolen, of course, I get it. I absolutely get it. But that's why I blame Trump. Yes, you have to blame the people that broke the law, but what's not fair and not okay is those people are held accountable and those people are in prison. But a lot of the masterminds that have the money, the lawyers, the authority, they're off scot-free. That's the problem. I'm Boston Bob. No, I will not get into it with you. We can have a different conversation later. You can believe what you want about the election being stolen right now. Let's just say if you believe the election was stolen, then you support what they were doing. If you don't believe the election was stolen, and I don't, but you do believe that those people were lied to and brainwashed by people who have a very large megaphone to manipulate people, then I still understand why they did what they did. Here's what's funny. Ghetto God says this: 2,000 mules. Watch it. Okay. Have you seen the news? Come on now. 2,000 mules. This was just the other day. 2,000 Mules director apologizes, admitting that some of his film's claims were not true. he apologizes for inaccurate information. So, let me show and stream. There it is right there. It was all over the news a couple of days ago. So sorry, right? And also, frankly, again, no one has explained anything about stealing the election, where if you're going to steal the election, but you're not going to steal a Senate and a Congress majority, then you're a great crook, but you're stupid as fuck. Okay, but I'm not getting into it. I'm not getting into it. On this is not what this is about, right? We're not doing this. We can do it later, but we're not doing it on the stream because it's you're not going to convince me. I'm not going to convince you, but let's at least agree with this though. Can we at least agree that whether you think it was stolen or you think it wasn't, but these people were manipulated into thinking it was, of course, if you in your heart of hearts believe that your government is collapsing and your voice isn't counting, you fucking storm the Capitol. That's what you do. We can at least agree on that. Same thing with the CEO, right? There's a point where the people say, enough, you're not representing us. So that's where it becomes, that's the issue that we're talking about. And I think history, you can look back and say January 6th may not be any real different than this CEO getting shot. It's the people going, we are not being listened to. Now, again, right now, and this is why I say all the time, and this is not some wise fucking thing. I'm parroting this. I'm repeating this. This isn't my wisdom I've arrived at, but it's true. When people say it's really about the rich and the 1%, they're fucking all of us, you guys. We don't have to agree on, if there's a God in the sky. We don't have to agree on all the rights and abortion. That's just like garden variety stuff that we're never going to agree on, but we can still get along as fellow country people. But the manipulation on behalf of all of these rich people, I don't mean to say it's like they're the enemy, but they're the ones responsible. That's why when I look at January 6th, I get it. I don't get it for why they get it, but I get it. If you feel disenfranchised, fuck yeah, you fight. Fuck yeah, you fight. These, it's bullshit. I don't care about all that, Fuzzy. I don't care about taking the high road. I don't care about saying anything to the younger gen about this isn't helping. Sometimes the only thing that helps is a fucking punch in the mouth. That's the fucking truth. I'm sorry. I'm absolutely sorry, but there is no high road anymore because the rich people have come in and destroyed it. You don't get to ask me to take the high road when every time we've taken it in the past, we've gotten sniped from the 1% sitting in a fucking, ivory tower. But you can disagree all you want. I don't care. I don't agree with you. You have not convinced me with your argumentative skills and your debate skills. All you're doing to me is saying things that I'm just like, yeah, I don't agree. My mind's open. Yes, you and I are both rich compared to a lot of people, but we're not rich in the sense that we are controlling the government. In the sense that, like, what did I see last night? Elon Musk spent $260 million of his own money. Literally, I mean, I want you to think about that for a second. Whether you like Elon Musk or not is not the point. The one person was able to spend not only just the fact that he has the amplification of a huge media platform, but that aside, and I'm not saying that should or shouldn't be illegal or allowed, but that aside, he spent $260 million. He is allowed in this culture, in this legal system, to spend $260 million in order to put money into a PAC to get who he wants elected. And lo and behold, now that same guy is an influential person in the ear of the most powerful man in the universe. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why people are getting fed up on both sides. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the rich. I'm not talking about Yeah, yes, Zeke. It's not tit for tat. Zuckerberg spent if you're saying Zuckerberg spent over 400 million for an election, that's a problem too. And Zuckerberg probably votes more the way I would vote. It shouldn't be allowed in a democracy or in a republic. It's not okay. And we should have a real problem with that. All right. But here's the thing that we really need. We all can agree on this. Look at this. You guys know what remote viewing is, don't you? Remote viewing is this pseudoscience. The CIA put a lot of money into it in the 60s, 70s. They came out and said, it's not real, which doesn't mean it's not real. It just fucking means that they want us to think it's not real, or it may not be real. I don't fucking know. Are there just as many Democrats getting rich off the masses as Republicans? I wouldn't know, Lord Garth, but it wouldn't surprise me. But again, I don't mean getting rich. I mean I don't even care if you get rich. But if you get rich and the court has said you can pretty much put dark money into whatever you want, you are controlling the government. That's just the way it fucking is. That's the way it fucking is. And you can't deny that. Do you think Elon Musk or Zuckerberg put 400 million and 260 million into elections just because they really believe in Trump's take on the Space Force or Biden's take on the infrastructure bill? Or do you think they wanted to buy influence? I wouldn't spend $10 and be okay not getting what I spent $10 on. Musk can spend 100K per hour for 100 years and still have $1 billion left, says Charles Darwin. Good to have you back, buddy. You're right. We have term limits. Turtle Rabbit says term limits and get rid of all special interest groups. Sure, I agree. And have public. There are solutions, or at least attempts at solutions out there. The problem is not that no one sat around and thought about how do we solve this. The problem is you're not going to get the people we need in a republic to solve this, because they have a vested interest in not solving it. And you can't fix that, because the system is, if you have the money, you control the power. And if you have the power, you're not going to make decisions to take your money and power away. Yeah, Matthew says term limits for the Supreme Court. Sure. I mean, there are issues there, but there are ways you could get around those issues and work through them to still make the Supreme Court fair, or at least fair as possible. Don't name George Soros. Yes, anyone, everyone. Amex, stop fighting me. Your problem, Amex, is you have been convinced I am your bad guy. I am not your Thanos. I am with you. We can disagree on things, but not be enemies. The enemies are the ones that are saying, don't look at us. Don't look at Oz behind the curtain. Let the monkeys and the munchkins fight. Isn't that who fought? The witch had the monkeys and the munchkins. I don't fucking know. The Oz shit. JJD, I agree with you. I rarely do. I think you're a moron, but he says, I don't know if you're a moron, but you push back and I push back on you. So fuck you, JJD. He says, America's in the end game stage. You cannot fight or depend on a system inherently corrupt. I mean, I think it's capitalism, at least, but I think there's a lot that's great about America, the idea of America. I don't want to see that go away. I hope we don't have to see the whole thing fall apart. But there is a point. There is a point where something's got to happen, and that's why I do look at these people that I don't agree with politically on a lot of things and go, please, could you stop fighting with me? Could we work together? I don't know what that means. Maybe it's just what we vote. Maybe it's how we vote. Something. But just because I believe in full-on progressive ideals and you believe in full-on conservative ideals, so fucking what? It's always been that way. We don't have to agree, but my God, we're all being fucked by these people. All right, here's remote viewing. Let's get to the remote viewing though. Let's get remote view. I don't know why the call-ins are not working. You guys are saying the call. Let me put up another one. Maybe it's the link is bad or something. Here it is again. But I want to talk about this remote viewing as it relates to this CEO story. I am enticing people to commit violence. Shut up, Ultra Awesome. No, I'm not. If you're such a fucking, the only way that you're being enticed by this stream to commit violence is if you're as dumb as the fucking cockroach that had the fucking cockroach microchip put on them for the search and rescue startup that we showed earlier. If you're listening to me and you're thinking what I'm saying is go commit violence, that's not what I'm saying. We're having a philosophical conversation about, are we at the end game here of capitalism, late stage capitalism, or America, or whatever, or democracy? That's what we're talking about. And the violence that we're seeing that's happening that is shocking is probably a result of that. That's what we're talking about. If you're too dumb to recognize the difference between a philosophical conversation about the issue at play and going, I'm giving you some kind of call. He says, I should know better. No, I shouldn't. I expect better. Ultra Awesome says, as you well know, most people are not that critical thinking. I expect them to be. And if they're not, shame on them and get smart. Not even smart like book smart. Wade into the waters of self-awareness and critical thinking. Wade into the waters of being okay being wrong about things. It's okay to be wrong about things. I'm wrong about things. I say I'm wrong about them when you educate me on them. I appreciate it. I don't like them. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to stand up there and say, I know this. And then you say, Trump didn't really say that, Jaffe. And I'm like, fuck. That makes me feel less cool because I was really convinced he said it. And then you showed me a clip and I was wrong. Sorry about that, folks. But that's how you learn. That's how you grow. Remote viewing. Sigrid, I'll bring you in a second, buddy. I want to talk to you, but I want to show this. So this guy, Daz Smith, let me just show you this video. It's 1.5 minutes long. No, it's 3 minutes, but if it gets boring, I'll stop it. But this explains it all. And it relates entirely to what we've been talking about with this CEO murder in New York. Here we go.
This amazing predictive remote viewing from my good friend Daz Smith, who is a great remote viewer. Hi there, crypto fans. Hi there, remote viewing fans. Dick Allgaier here. It's another beautiful day in Hawaii at Ethereum Place. We do remote viewing where we predict next month's events and we publish those predictions, those sketches, those descriptions for our subscribers on our private site, futureforecastinggroup.com. And Daz Smith did this one that got our attention today. Daz said there would be a murder committed in a public place, like out on the street, where someone would come up behind somebody with a pistol and shoot them from behind, and it would be a targeted assassination type event. Okay, this happened. United Healthcare CEO fatally shot outside Manhattan Hotel in targeted attack, suspect at large. We see a frame from surveillance video that looks just like what Daz Smith had drawn. Daz Smith's a good remote viewer. I've been working with him for 15 years now, longer than 15 years. So I see his work all the time. I know how good he is. Last week, I submitted some data on a session where I saw this. I saw a mass gathering at a legislative body, a big building, and I knew these people were angry. It reminded me of January 6th, but when I saw it, I thought in my mind, like, why am I thinking about Korea? And I saw these people assembled, and they're really mad about something having to do with the government, and there was like a overtaking of the government. And then after I submitted that, we had the martial law declared, and the people swarmed the legislative body in Korea, so I saw that correctly. This is just an example of some of the work that we do on a regular basis.
Okay, so I'm not suggesting that's real. Of course, there's confirmation bias, and people get shot in New York all the time. Blah 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 blah. I get it. I'm just saying it's interesting because there is a there's a lot of theories out there and about stuff like this. The government has spent a lot of time with this. Is it real? I am not a believer, but I don't think it's absolutely, there's no proof to the ability for people to sort of see things that may be coming to pass. But at the same time, of course, most of it, if not all of it, is probably, very easy to explain away psychologically. But, it's interesting. It's interesting. Well, no, I don't agree with that, Fuby. So this guy talks about things he supposedly predicted after. No, this stuff was published in November. So, but what I will agree with you guys on is that it's a spaghetti method at this point. So you're throwing everything against the wall, and then you're finding the 2 or 3 things that stick, kind of, but those things are very generic. It's not dissimilar to like giving someone a cold read if you say you're a psychic. But see, this is where it goes, though. Mabuti says, is it really that tragic if humanity goes extinct? I would say yes. It is absolutely tragic because we are evolving. We are going to eventually get out of this, and we have to survive long enough to do it. But if we can, I mean, we're mental toddlers right now in terms of the evolution of the brain. And a lot of people, and that's why I think where a lot of this fighting comes from, a lot of people are in different places, but we're still sharing the planet together. It's people are upset, people are angry. And the fact that we don't have systems that will give people, like, imagine if we did have real systems that gave people the relief they need to feel safe and comfortable. My guess would be that a lot of this horse shit would go away. Are you aware? We talked briefly about this the other day, but this is why I was looking it up. Are you aware that the countries on the planet that are the most religious are the countries that have the worst social safety nets? The countries that tend to be atheist or agnostic primarily, or have the most atheist agnostics, tend to have more social safety nets and social policies to protect people. It's not that big of a stretch to suggest that superstition and believing in anything is whether it's true or not. I'm not saying your view of religion is right or wrong, but I am saying that we are more predisposed to believe stuff that doesn't really hold water when we feel less secure and less safe. And so, I think it's another reason this shit's important, that we are able to kind of just get to the root of these issues versus continue down this road. Eric says there was a guy called Xavier in Brazil who used to talk to the dead, and no one disproved that. Well, how do you disprove that? Feeling safe and comfortable requires oppression. I don't agree with that, Trip. I think it has in the past, but that's what I'm saying. You have to be able to go, like a lot of people from my generation look back at the 80s and go, God, it was so much easier. Yeah, for me. And, if you were straight, male, and white in America, it was real fucking easy in the 80s. And I'm sure it was still easier in America than it was in some other country, no matter what minority group you were in. But certainly, there were people that were oppressed. We got that comfort off the backs of people who were making our comfort, and they were suffering for it. But the sooner we can recognize that, appreciate all that, hopefully we can figure out a way that we can all not have to do that, but still have good lives that are safe. MC Hammerpants, all I'm telling you, buddy, is it's both. He says the leftist ideology is built on oppressors and the oppressed. In my opinion, it's designed to pit people against each other, and I don't know how to fix that. It's the DNA of the school of thought. It's both. It's not left or right ideology. It's the ideology of how do you manipulate people. And both sides do it. We think the exact thing about your side. We think we're just as smart when we say the conservatives are all about scaring you, and they want you to feel fear, and they want you to vote out of fear and fear of the other. Just like you look at us and you say the leftists want you to vote out of a place of, if you don't do this, all of the freedoms you care about are going to go away because the big bad bullies from high school want to take it away from you. Both sides do it, and both sides think the other side are idiots, and both sides think the other side are brainwashed, and both sides think that they have the facts and the skinny on the facts to prove the other side wrong. Now ask yourself, does that seem like a manipulated system? I think so. How weird. I mean, what a beautiful system. You get both sides to think the other side is crazy, full of shit and lying. And who benefits from that? My side doesn't, and your side doesn't. So eventually maybe we all get to wake up and go, wait a minute, it's a profit deal, right? I mean, come on. It's a fucking, it's a fucking game on the boardwalk of Santa Monica boardwalk pier. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Let me bring in Sigrat. Sigrat, it's Jaffe. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So I got a quick question on the earlier topic of were you guys discussing the potential of like who and for what reason took out the guy who ran the United Healthcare?
We were, I mean, that's where all this is led. But yeah, we started talking about that. We're still kind of on it. What's up?
My one thing on that is it's hard to say really who did it or why, but at this point, United Healthcare has fucked over multiple generations of families. So it's not too far off to say that it's just someone who's been very jaded, lost family from it. My stepfather has been denied insulin because of United Healthcare multiple times for unknown reasons they would not give clarification for.
And if he doesn't take insulin, if he doesn't take it, what happens? He dies. Right.
Yeah.
So what did he do?
We has had to end up going through family and borrowing money at that point to pay for it, which for those of you who don't know, a single bottle of insulin, which can last about a month, is anywhere from $500 to $600.
Okay.
And that's a newer thing too. United Healthcare has also ramped up the scale of this price.
Okay.
So insulin and you can fact check me on this because I'm not 100%. I'm spitballing what I remember. Insulin was a couple $100 less just about a decade ago. And then it spiked really heavily to where there's all sorts of stories that emerged in the late 2010s and early 2020s of people who just their family members couldn't afford insulin anymore and ended up dying from it.
Right. So ask yourself, if you're listening to Sigrat on this, if this was your family, if this was your child, if this was your father, if this was your spouse, your brother, and this guy is the guy turning the knob going, more money, more money, more money. I have no sympathy for this fucker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either, honestly. He's incurred enough enemies just by making those calls to where it's not surprised. Do I encourage that kind of violence or suggest go do it? No, by no means.
I don't either.
Said anything about incurring violence, and that ultra awesome person is ignorant for inciting such.
Yep. Yeah, I don't encourage it, but I do think if something doesn't change,
I agree,
we're going to see.
Death is not the answer.
Yeah, but we will see more and more of it if something doesn't change. I mean, let me ask you this: as somebody who has actually seen the almost the tragic ramifications of this, when it comes to these decisions these people make, these CEOs make, how is it fair to ask you or anyone who has suffered from it go, well, no, go to your congressperson. That's how you do it. Especially when these people get off scot-free when they bend the law, write the law, break the law. Why is it that we have been convinced that we have to take the high ground when all of these people that are making us take the high ground and suffer for it never even consider taking that? But we have been somehow brainwashed into that's the way we're supposed to be.
No, it's like you said, it's a game of Monopoly. It's what the country's run as at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm reading someone in chat, and yeah, it's the problem is you can be denied for healthcare reasons for relatively anything. Another example would be my mom had multiple heart attacks and was denied cardiac healthcare also by United Healthcare because she didn't qualify the financial income radius to meet cover. There's another issue. If you don't meet a certain amount of income, you don't meet certain benefits that you can get in healthcare.
Really? So what? Because they think you're lazy or something? It's some kind of judgment that plays out in the like if you don't have a certain amount of money, but you pay your monthly and you can pay your premium, you can still not get certain healthcare?
Lesser to an extent, yeah. So to my understanding, I have a very low end. I do not qualify for vision, dental. I can cover ER visits, no ambulances, just bare runs. I got to be careful what I do in daily life, or else I'm, bankrupt now.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
And not most developed countries do not have this. I'm sorry, they just don't. And I understand.
I know this is a very case by case basis, but I can give not names, but an example of something I was told directly when applying for insurance. Because I don't make much money. I'll say that. Whenever I went to go for my applications, I was told, why don't I just instead apply for disability? I was told instead of just getting insurance and trying to maintain a, low end job or just what I can handle, just give up and get disability.
Who told you this?
This was a doctor that told me this, and that's about as far as I'd like to go into that.
Okay.
I don't want to get myself or anyone else in trouble, but
sure.
This doctor had told me, why don't I just stop trying to work and go get disability? I felt like that's a very odd thing because there's people out there who have my health issues way worse than me. I can still work a job and I still very much like to and try to, but they just said, nah, give up. And that's weird, right?
Well, it is weird. And then the other thing is you've got this moral aspect that the people in power have attached to it. So it's like, oh, well, if you don't really want to work anyway, I mean, why do you, it is so ridiculous that it's like, hey, come work for us, make our shit, make us rich, or you're going to die because you can't afford insurance. It is the goofiest fucking
and Anthony
con
Wright's
game.
got a good point too.
What do you say?
He says getting on disability is difficult. It is.
Oh, yes.
That is not a quick process or an easy one. It'll cost you money in the long run to do so.
Yeah.
And chances are you're in for a 5 to 10 year wait. I have a cousin who was on disability and only got just the basic amount after 19 years of going through the process.
What do you think about the argument, though, that a lot of people will make that it's like, yeah, but if you get, if you're in Canada or you're in certain countries in Europe, they don't invent things for medicine and you have to wait a long time and all this. But when you ask these people, I don't think I could find one person living in the UK or Canada. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if you're watching the chat, that would trade their healthcare for America's healthcare based on the way it is now.
Well, they've got some issues there. Also, real quick,
every system is going to have issues.
I've been here since the start of the stream, so I heard that part, and I don't recall him saying he would do the same thing, but most people, I think, would agree that this person kind of had it coming. Does it make it right? Nah, but it's my entire thing. It's not like a big conspiracy that this guy was paid big money to be assassinated. No, some pissed off dude who's probably lost family just had enough.
Yeah, ultra awesome.
I hope they don't find the guy too, honestly. I mean, that's a fucked up statement on my end. I apologize. That's how I feel. After
he says rewind.
I've lost. It's not a loss.
He says rewind the tape, whatever that is, and listen to Jaffe literally agree with the murderer. Yes, I agree with the murderer. I like that the guy got shot. I like that he's dead. I'm glad he's dead. He's a piece of shit, and maybe a positive will come out of it. that will allow other people in power that are fucking over the majority to go, you know what? The people are waking up, not because they wanted to, but because at least in the Matrix, when the guy eats the steak and says, I don't care that I live in the Matrix, the steak tastes so good, I don't care. When the steak starts tasting like shit, more and more people wake up. And I think
ultimately, whoever takes this guy's place, hey, maybe prices will start to go down.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I don't care, Ultra Awesome. That's how I feel. I'm sorry that you think that's some kind of low blow, but yeah, I'm glad he's dead. Glad he's fucking dead.
I agree, and I don't think that's you or anyone inciting violence. That's just
no, I didn't say. If you're so fucking dumb, awesome,
if you're going out, if you're that dumb to think that that's either of us inciting violence, then brother, go to a different stream.
Right? Yeah. No one should go and no one should do anything like that. I don't recommend it. I'm not condoning it. I'm not suggesting it, but I get it. And I can support that he did it, but I'm not saying you should do it. And if that's too nuanced for you, buddy, then this probably isn't the stream for you. Listen to this though. Tell me what you think of this. Helton says the Hydra thing, it's the whole eat the rich is played out. I don't think you can play it out when it's still happening. I have to live this life in Detroit, and it's jarring to hear people with a safety net trying to tell me what's right or wrong. Are you talking to me? I'm fucking telling you that, yeah, there are a lot of people worse off than me, but that doesn't mean that I can't complain about the rich that are causing it. I don't know. Am I reading this guy's comment wrong, Sigrat, or do you get what he's saying?
Not necessarily, honestly, Sean. I can get kind of what you mean. I live in a pretty rough area in like the Midwest.
Okay.
But don't you think?
Don't you think you should have? Well, yeah, but wait.
Everybody has the right. Hang on.
Wait a minute. You're saying you live in a rough area, so wouldn't you want more of a social safety net? Wouldn't your rough area be less rough if society was able to guarantee at least that some of the people or all of the people that are committing these crimes that make your neighborhood rough are protected from the things that are causing them to have to? Yeah, right. So why would you not want more of a social safety net?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I was going to say is, I think on your end, it's no matter what your financial level, where you're at, you can be aware of what's happening and be against it.
Of course. And let's just say this though, it shame on anybody that thinks you have to. The only person that can fight the fight are people who are suffering the worst. We're all going to be. Money comes, money goes. Health comes, health goes. Sometimes it comes back in both cases. Sometimes it never comes back. Okay, the idea that you only pick up a metaphorical rifle in most cases and fight. The only time you do that is when you're directly affected as part of the problem. We should all be working together to make everyone's experience as best as possible, if possible. Anyway, Canada has 10 MRI units per million people. The US has 40. Yeah, the idea that everybody's waiting, people in the chat are saying it's absolutely a lie that all these countries like, yeah, you want to have an operation, you got to wait 8 months. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's what we hear in America a lot. Sounds like these guys are saying, no, that's not the case. So there you go. All right, buddy. I appreciate you calling, Sigrid. I'm sorry that that's happening with your stepdad. And again, I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's tragic, man.
It's what the country's at this point, brother. But thanks for having me in again.
Anytime, bud. See you later, man. I mean, how can you hear that guy and just be like, oh, well. I'm not going to, is supporting and look, I'm going to make this real clear for the people that struggle with, shapes and things in school. Don't kill anybody unless it's self-defense, ever. Simple. Don't do it. Your dad had to wait for his heart and cancer in Canada, and they only treat some things in the biggest of cities, says Lord Garth. Okay. But did they put him on a list and say that he could wait? He could afford to wait? Or was it like, you may die, but fuck you, that's the system? When you hear the argument, if you have universal health care, you have to wait for treatment. There's an argument for people with money to get treatment at the cost of those without, says Will Con USA. MC Hammer says 340 million in the US. People die over road rage. I'm surprised this stuff doesn't happen more considering motherfuckers used to duel in the day. Yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. You can disagree all you want. I also disagree with United Healthcare's practices, but don't entice to violence. I don't care. Ultra awesome. Sorry, you're wrong. No one is suggesting violence as a good solution. I'm saying that I get it. I'm glad it happened. I hope it doesn't happen again. You know, something's wrong with certain people when it comes to, maybe it is the internet. Maybe it's 180 characters has dulled people's brains that only came up with the internet. I'm able to hold multiple thoughts that kind of contradict each other, but have a meta understanding and awareness at the same time. I can say, yes, we need to aim for a society where no one harms anyone else. But we also need to take into account the fact that when you harm other people in a way that is legal and we aren't given the mechanisms, we're lied to and told we are, but we're not really given the mechanisms to affect change in that system to make it illegal for what they're doing to us. And so someone picks up a weapon and expresses that rage and sadness, which is ultimately what it is and the only way they can. Sorry, I can understand that, and I can even support that when it happens to a really evil person, and still recognize, let's not be that. Let's be better than that. But fundamentally, being better than that, if you're not giving any levers to be better than that, that's where we're going to go. Hello, Rathizzle. Controller Sports says keep the same energy for the innocent black guy that just got executed. I do. I don't support the death penalty. Not at all. We don't have it here in California. I don't think it's come back. Yeah, in Minnesota, your dad's hospice was free. Yeah, because you guys have a system there from what's his name, Walls, that does that. Okay. Well, look, I was gonna get into. There's a lot going on with these drones. Here's what we can do. I mean, we can stay on this, but it's going to delay, if not totally push Gabbin' and Games till tomorrow. So there's a lot of good topics. I mean, we barely got into it today. I'm going to wrap this, go prep Gabbin' and Games for this afternoon. Because I know that's the main bread and butter of this channel. But I will absolutely, we'll pick this back up with, the drone stuff and other topics I had lined up on tomorrow's Jaffe stream in the morning. But for now, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for talking. Thank you for sharing your views. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you on this afternoon's Gabbin' and Games. We'll be talking about Indiana Jones. I'll get a little bit of playtime in with the launch of Marvel Rivals. We'll be talking about that. Of course, we'll be talking about the news of the day as it relates to video games. So that is coming up. In the meantime, though, thank you guys. Good to talk to you. Good to debate and discuss with you. Be safe, and I'll see you this afternoon, hopefully. All right. Bye, you guys. Thanks, everybody.